The Friday the 13th series began in 1980, heavily inspired by the success of 1978's Halloween, and birthed a horror icon in Jason Voorhees. Countless teenage camp counsellors have fallen foul of his machete, spanning over the initial 10 films, although he wasn't actually the killer in a couple of these, a crossover with another horror icon, Freddy Krueger, and a 2009 remake. There's also a fan film that's held in very high regard called Never Hike Alone. When developer Ilphonic began creating a game called Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp in around 2015, they were delighted when original Friday the 13th director Sean S. Cunningham approached them about using the Friday the 13th license. After backing campaigns such as Kickstarter helped raise the necessary funds, Friday the 13th the video game was released in May 2017, published by Gun Media, and has now made its way to the Switch. Is it Mummy's special boy or the bastard son of 100 maniacs? And yes, I do know that's Freddy. Anyway, I'm Glenn for SwitchUp, thanks to the publishers for this review copy, and now let's find out. Friday the 13th is an online multiplayer game. You will play as either Jason Voorhees or a camp counsellor, with the aim being to kill all of the counsellors within the time limit, should you be playing as Jason, or surviving, although there is more to it than that and I'll get to that later, if you are playing as the counsellor. All set in a sandbox environment based on locations from the film series. The main game mode is the online mode, although there are some single player options too, which I will touch on later. Players are pitted together, with one randomly chosen to be Jason and the others playing as the counsellors. Looking deeper into it, playing as Jason allows you the opportunity to choose which Jason from a number of the films you use. These all have the main physical features of each incarnation, such as the sack from part 2, the axe mark in the mask from part 4, or the chain from part 7. But as well as these physical differences, each Jason has set attributes too. For example, earlier incarnations of Jason are capable of running, whereas the later, more zombified if you will versions cannot run, but have increased abilities in other areas. Not all of the Jasons are available from the start, and you will unlock them once you reach a certain rank. As you traverse the area, the location of the counsellors will be approximated by these flashing circles, and following these will lead you to the general direction of them. However, it is only in effect when a counsellor is in a building, and even when in a building, it will disappear should they hide somewhere inside. As well as this, each Jason has the same 4 main abilities. These are Stalk, Sense, Shift and Morph. Stalk will see Jason disappear off the radar of the counsellors, becoming temporarily invisible to them. Sense will show you any counsellors that are out in the wild and in close proximity to you by way of a red aura. Shift allows you to fast travel over a short distance in a first person perspective, Evil Dead style, and finally Morph will see you teleport to your chosen destination around the map. Each of these abilities are on a cooldown time and are accessible by pressing the R button and then choosing the relevant face button for the ability you want to use. Finally, you have a rage ability that will activate midway through the round and allows Jason to break through walls and doors much easier than it would otherwise have been. You have 20 minutes to kill as many counsellors as you can, and can also do things like cutting the power to stop the counsellors from calling the police, and you will be graded at the end on how you did. This earns you points that you can then spend on perks and abilities for the counsellors or additional kill animations for Jason, and also assists you in levelling up, which, as already mentioned, unlocks new characters to use. When you play as the counsellor, you can choose from a number of different characters, each with their own set of statistics. These may affect the rate at which characters are gripped by fear, or just determine their speed, stamina, etc. There are a number of goals that you can attempt to achieve. First and foremost, there are a couple of cars and a boat that you can try to use to escape. The problem is they need petrol and keys, etc. before they are usable. Keys can be found hidden in the drawers of the various cabins, and by working together to find these items, a number of people can potentially escape. You can also attempt to call the police and run to them when they arrive, and you can even call Tommy Jarvis, Jason's nemesis in a number of the films, to come and assist you. Should the appropriate conditions be met, a player whose counsellor has already been killed, or one that's escaped already, will respawn back into the map as Tommy, armed with a shotgun and much higher statistics than the other players. If you do die, you will need to watch the remainder of the match as a spectator, and this is not skippable, unless of course you happen to be chosen to be Tommy, as already mentioned. You can watch the action from a number of different cameras that are scattered around the location, or you can follow one of the survivors in particular. Now, Gun Media set up some time slots for reviewers to try out the online, and I will give you some thoughts of my time with this now. The first attempt saw me paired with just one other person, and whilst I fully appreciate this was a pre-release event, this would be my biggest concern for the game in general. A lack of players online affects the enjoyment, and I really do hope the game finds an audience to stop this from happening when it's released on the Switch. As it happened though, the stars aligned, and the person I was paired with was Juan from SwitchWatch. SwitchUp against SwitchWatch in a literal battle to the death. Obviously this meant a match of just one counsellor against Jason, with both of us having a chance to play as each. We won a round each. I was killed by being hugged to death apparently. Alright Juan, easy tiger. Seriously though, Juan smashed it. He found me in seconds, fair play to him. So just like Freddy vs Jason, it ended in a draw. I had better luck in my second attempt at online with 4 players including myself involved this time. Playing as Jason with 3 others to find was great fun, using his abilities to fast travel around the map, searching cabins and feeling the fear of your victims as you approached and picked them off one by one. Playing as the counsellor felt practically impossible at first, but within a few turns I started to get the hang of searching for a weapon, locating the car or the boat, and generally staying out of Jason's way a little bit longer each time. I even floored him at one point. There is voice chat within the game, and although I didn't try it, I could see this really helping players to strategise and work together to attempt to survive the night. Offline options include playing the same game mode but against AI bots, and you can only ever be Jason in offline mode. There is also a challenge mode available too. The biggest issue with the offline mode is just how poor the AI of the counsellor bots is. I had instances of counsellors running straight towards me and then just standing still, walking at a leisurely pace having spotted Jason coming towards them, or just constantly opening and closing the same door whilst I introduced them to the pointy end of my axe. This really did spoil the enjoyment of this mode for me, which is a real shame. Challenge mode fares better and actually reminded me a little bit of a more basic version of Hitman. Again, playing as Jason, you must kill all counsellors, but this time there is a scenario such as their car having broken down, and you can kill them in a certain way to earn additional points. You are graded out of 3 skulls at the end of the match, and I really enjoyed this mode a lot. Finally, there is a virtual cabin mode which acts as a museum of sorts, with a variety of Easter eggs and tidbits of information that fans of the series may really appreciate. Gameplay is a lot of fun with a few players involved. Offline is still fun, and the challenge mode was a welcome addition. It's just a shame that the AI bots spoil the party a little bit. Likewise, controls are a little bit clunky at times, but they do generally do the job, and gameplay receives 14 out of 20, whilst controls also get 14 out of 20. Visuals in Friday the 13th are an extremely mixed bag. On the one hand, you have the character models which, especially during cutscenes, look pretty ropey, particularly when it comes to hair. Now I know that hair is notoriously difficult to animate, and games with much larger budgets than this have struggled with this aspect over the years, but it's so bad it's actually quite disconcerting. Have a look at this.
Man, how come you don't get loud when we get it on?
Yeah, it's probably because your beard is made out of cotton wool that's been painted brown, and she's just not into that, mate, let's be honest. The Jason models all look very good though, and are very distinguishable from each other, and you can even use the purple Jason from the NES game, which I thought was a lovely addition. Legendary Jason actor Kane Hodder reprised his role for the character animations and motion capture. Tom Matthews also reprises his role as Tommy Jarvis, and his likeness from part 6 is used for the character model. There are a couple of other familiar faces as well, such as Shelley from part 3, but again, look at that hair. The level of detail that has gone into recreating particular settings from the Friday the 13th franchise though is a real highlight. Walking through the trees to then be presented with the barn from part 3 for example will no doubt make any fan of the series smile. There are a number of locations available to explore, each from a particular film, such as the aforementioned barn, Camp Crystal Lake itself, and the Jarvis home, to name a few. They have absolutely nailed the atmosphere of the series, with every shadow, every rustle of the leaves, and every log cabin carrying the threat of possibly hiding the masked killer. Audio wise, the iconic score from Harry Manfredini is present. Funny story, playing the game with my wife watching on, she said to me, "Oh look, it's even got the shoot 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 music." Bloody shoop shoop shoop. Apparently it was Sher that provided the score after all these years. The music is used very effectively and kicks in whenever Jason is close when you are playing as a counsellor. Not only does this up the scare factor of knowing he's close even if you can't see him, but it also replicates the tactic used in the original 1980 film according to Manfredini himself. Voice acting is used in cutscenes and at times during gameplay, particularly from Mrs. Voorhees encouraging her son after each kill. Visuals receive 13 out of 20, whereas the audio receives 16 out of 20. Friday the 13th costs £35.99 or $39.99, and value is really quite difficult to accurately gauge at this point. On the one hand, you have environments and characters painstakingly recreated from a time period of 1980 up to Part 9, which came out in 1993. You have an online experience that has the potential to be a huge amount of fun, with the option of voice chat too. But then there's the very poor AI during the single player, the fact that you can only play as Jason in single player, which, whilst fun, I liked the adrenaline rush of being the hunted in this game, as well as feeling invincible whilst being Jason. And finally, there is the unknown in terms of whether the online community will thrive. Surely crossplay would have been a bit of an insurance policy against this and would benefit players on all systems, but alas, it seems that's not to be. Value scores 11 out of 20. To conclude, Friday the 13th the video game is a very interesting gaming premise that has the potential to hit all the right notes and be a success. If the game does well and the online is strong, then you could have some serious fun with this, especially as it allows for voice chat. If it does not and the online is dead, then you are stuck with some single player modes that can be fun but are certainly flawed at the same time. If you have a bunch of mates that you know are buying it, you'll get your money's worth. But everyone else, just approach with some caution that to fully enjoy this one, you will need a full roster of players online. Friday the 13th gets a SwitchUp score of 68%. Many thanks as always everybody for watching. Please do remember to leave a like if you like what you've just seen. Now I will stick my friend code in the comments section down below. Please do feel free to do the same if you are buying this game and want some people to play with. Or alternatively, join our Discord and I will start up a chat in there where people can leave their friend codes and possibly organise gaming sessions. Anyway, a quick thank you to our patrons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.